Today from New York City. Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us in the AFA Today studios. And we're talking about zero tolerance and just what kind of sense it actually does or does not make.
Khalid and Aiden aren't only suspended, but recommended expelled for possession, handling, and use of a firearm.
So Khalid and Aiden are over there in the yard taking target practice with the airsoft gun, waiting for the school bus. And this is the school bus stop, 70 yards away.
All right, just one of the little details that needs to be understood in the context of the story that we're discussing today, which has to do with zero tolerance. It has to do with the school district that these boys belong to, and it has to do with the idea that a school district thinks it can encroach into the private family space and life of a child that happens to go to school at that school district. Your thoughts on this? 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let's start with Monty, who's calling from Virginia. Monty, you're up first on AFA Today with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Kevin, you're becoming very, very fast number one in Culpeper, Virginia.
Culpeper, okay. Thank you, sir. I'll be glad to be number one. Anywhere I can happen, I'll be happy for that.
I want to tell you, I'm talking about zero tolerance, having served only one term on the school board, and I had to do a write-in vote to get there, but they said that had never been done. And the zero tolerance issue is the same as me telling you that, Kevin, I tolerate your AFR program. However, I don't believe anything you tell me or think it's right, but you've got to go by all my rules and regulations because I'm intolerant of you. And zero tolerance is a sick way of dealing with. I don't want to have to put up with the truth, so I'll make up something so like Barack Obama is truth, and then you discover he really doesn't care whether people are going by rules and regulations. It's just as long as he wins. I think that's what he said, didn't he? I won.
Well, yeah, and he told McCain, John, I won. So, and he basically said to the American people, if you have to, we'll go around Congress. Like, okay. Whatever. But how do you equate that to zero tolerance? Because zero tolerance is, to me, it's kind of the opposite of what you were just describing. It's this mindless enforcement that gets put into place regardless of any extenuating circumstances. And what it does is it allows efficiency on two levels. People that are affected by it clearly know what the rule is. People that enforce it clearly know what the rule is. But then no one has to think about anything related to enforcement of it because it doesn't matter what the reasons were behind anything. You simply give them the summary punishment for breaking the rule that broke the zero tolerance. So to me, it's almost the opposite of someone being arrogant and saying, I'm going to do what I want to do. It's saying to everyone else, you can't do this under any circumstances, no matter what the specifics behind it may be.
Well, I was going to say, Kevin, that I have kind of a unique history. One of my cousins is Dan Quayle, and one of my distant relatives is Presley O'Bannon, who went to Tripoli in 1805 and planted the American flag back and kind of cleaned the Muslims' clocks under Thomas Jefferson. And it's unique, Kevin, that people in the Democratic Party, and we are a republic, that they forget that their rules and regulations don't stop Christians from believing that Jesus Christ absolutely came in the name of saving us by grace. And zero tolerance is some ridiculous way of, I just keep saying it, and saying that as long as you do as I say, I don't have to do as the rules. I mean, I just keep saying this administration is like that. Get rid of the people that put pressure on me to know right from wrong. But, Kevin, if I had a air rifle or any kind of a rifle for my kids basically are not allowed to have weapons or guns because, I've showed them, I've taught them from my military background. But my intent is that the neighborhood's safe, they're safe, and then we find a range or a safe place to share or do those things that will, teach them the safety of them. And, the National Rifle Association, what if we did take all the guns off of the streets? What if we were fined every time we walked out of a store with a weapon that we had purchased and said, no, you can't have one, and then all the criminals and crooks figured out how to get there. I mean, that thing in the shipyard Navy is only 65 miles from my home. It's ridiculous that how do you protect people if you don't have what is really a weapon or tool? It's
necessary
a tool
to do
when you
it.
use it to hunt. It's a weapon when you take people's lives unmercifully.
No, it is, and thank you for the call, Monty. It's one of those things. I look at a gun as being just about as morally neutral as almost anything can be. A pencil, a fork, a writing pen, electrical outlet. You can do all kinds of things with electricity, but you can also do terrible things with electricity. It seems to me that there is no more inherent evil in a gun than there is any other inanimate object. And what I keep talking about, and what people continually ignore me on, is that, like yesterday's conversation, what we have to be concerned about is drawing people to Jesus so that we start making new people. America's problems are not going to get fixed trying to, quote, get the right people elected. And again, I'm not downing anyone working on getting good people elected, because we have to be part of that process. We have to. We have to run for office. We have to vote. We have to vote our conscience. That's all necessary. Christians have to be a part of that. But thinking that that's all that it will take to solve the problem is where the foolishness comes in. Until America is fundamentally a different person than she currently is, we're not going to see the changes that are necessary. And that's just, and some people may say, no, Kev, I disagree. You're welcome to disagree and tell me why I'm wrong. 888-589-8840. But from where I sit, I can't see it. And I'll tell you who I think America's kind of like. This is going to freak out the producers a little bit. Next month, the October edition of the Rolling Stone magazine, Miley Cyrus will be on the cover. Miley Cyrus will be completely nude on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. Now, this is a girl who just a blink ago, I mean, literally, where'd that time go, was this all-American kind of smiley-faced kid on Hannah Montana. Many people in this listening audience bought Hannah Montana videos and records and CDs for their little kiddies, and they were just grooving right along with Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus. Her dad took a position with the Parents Television Council, which is one of those watchdogs that AFR applauds the work of, that says, hey, be careful of this show and be careful of that show, and this is why that show is not good for kids. And they're really being a watchman on the wall in many regards, Brent Bozell and company, on things that nobody else has the time to do. So they provide an incredible source, and her dad's part of that operation, Billy Ray, achy breaky Billy Ray. Miley, at some point in time, professed a faith in Jesus Christ. She's said that. Through some of my business relationships, there's been, firsthand acknowledgement of the fact that the faith and the Bible was very important in that household growing up. That they went to church together. There were things that were going on. But just like Miley has known the truth, heard the truth, been taught the truth, admitted the truth, at one point in time loved the truth, now she's twerking in undergarments with singers, and I'm not even sure what twerking all completely entails. I just know that it's naughty. The lovely bride was sitting on the couch last night, surfing through her Facebook feed, and she's seeing that a bunch of her other mommy blogger friends are sitting there going, okay, we're burning all of our Hannah Montana records. And she's like, oh, no, what now? And she pulls it up, and there's a photo of Miley in a fishnet top with basically just her undergarments on underneath, but not even full undergarments on, very, very far less than a bathing suit. And this is how she had just performed on stage at some award thing that they were going through. She says in the interview with Rolling Stone magazine And again, remember, this is all, this is an illustration of America. She says to Rolling Stone magazine, she's asked about Kanye West. Kanye West is this vile, blaspheming rapper that once compared himself to Jesus, also on the cover of Rolling Stone, ironically, and has interrupted award winners. Taylor Swift was going to win an award one day, and Kanye West jumped in front of her and said, Taylor's video was okay, but Beyonce's was the bomb. And like, he's all about himself, and he's very maniacally, egomaniacal in his pursuits, et cetera, et cetera. But she tells Rolling Stone, well, Kanye is the blank, and the blank is a term that we find disgusting. We flush it and send it away from us as fast as we can because it is so vile to us. But this girl, who once admitted Christ's name, who once was doing family-oriented stuff, who has a dad who is concerned about the entertainment scope of America and is trying to do something about it through his work with PTC, etc., says that this other vile performer is the blank that you flush and that you send away, and that's a compliment, friends. I'm not dragging this out except to drive home this point. When we allow ourselves to be lazy and dumb, we don't engage the mind and think. We don't engage the facilities that God gave us and be vigilant towards truth. We begin to think literally that the stuff that we flush is good. We use it as a term that is said to be good, thinking that the culture around us also thinks that the stuff that you flush is now good. Do you understand the swing of that? You're talking about stuff that gives you diseases and filth, and you keep children away from it, and you say, no, if you walk into an open area where animals have done that, you stay away, you keep the kids away, you get them away. Why? Because it's dangerous, it's full of germs, it's gross, it's disgusting. And we, in our wisdom in the modern era, raise it up and call it good. We worship at the altar of stuff, but we call it good. Even some that have named the name of Jesus. She goes on to say, she's asked specifically about America's morals, and this is what she said. America is just so weird in what they think is right and wrong. Listen to the words that this pop star that has great influence with children all across the country, listen to what she says. She says, I was watching Breaking Bad. Now, Breaking Bad's this disgusting thing on the AMC channel that is all about drugs and violence and whatever. I don't watch it, but it's been critically acclaimed, whatever that means. She says, I was watching this. Okay, she's 20 years old. She can do what she wants. I'm watching Breaking Bad the other day, and they were cooking meth. That's short for methamphetamine. They're making drugs to alter people's states, to make them feel whatever they want to feel, et cetera, et cetera. She said, I could literally cook meth because of that show, meaning she's watched enough of that show about the cooking of the meth called The Breaking Bad, that's all about violence, that she feels like she could reasonably make the same recipe of whatever it was that they're making. She says, it's basically a how-to. She said, then the TV network I was watching it on bleeped out the F word. And I'm like, really? Listen to this. They killed a guy, disintegrated his body in acid, but you're not allowed to say the F word? She said it's like when they bleeped Molly, which is now the new name for the drug X, at the VMAs. Look, whatever I'm doing up here right now, and you're going to bleep Molly, whatever. She says America's morality is stupid because it's hypocritical. Friends, on some level, she's right. On some level, she's right. The Breaking Bad show, they put a body in acid and burn it, and that's how they dispose of one of God's creatures. But they cook meth, and the hero is the one that cooks the meth, or whatever the storyline is. Yeah, that's backwards. Yes, that's backwards. But this is a girl who takes all of that in, watches it, doesn't believe it's doing anything to her. Meanwhile, she's gone from being who this was on the Disney Channel with young kids, singing kids' songs to kids, blah, blah, blah. Dad working in the Parents Television Council, trying to keep entertainment clean and wholesome, to next month, the cover of Rolling Stone, strip naked, all of the technical parts will be covered, but you will know from looking at it that she's completely without clothes. Names the name of Jesus at one point in her life, is doing whatever it is now. Friends, I'm not telling you any of this for it to be salacious. I'm driving home this point. That picture of Miley Cyrus, that's the picture of America. We knew the truth. We knew what was right. We were fed on it. We were raised on it. Our parents loved it. They showed it to us. There was an element in this country, and I'm speaking somewhat figuratively, but you'll get the grasp of what I mean. We know the difference in right and wrong, or we did at one point in time. We had that kind of founding. We put it into documents, the Declaration and the Constitution and the other things that governed us. We said, this is what is good. This is how it should be embodied. And God was always part of that. But God is no longer part of it. So our kids' innocence gets sacrificed. We worship things that we should be flushing. And we're wondering why our country's confused about things like zero tolerance and trying to prosecute a kid who shot an airsoft gun, because somehow we've equated the lack of discernment we have allows us to think that shooting an airsoft gun is the same thing as shooting a Glock or an Uzi. Am I making any sense? 888-589-8840. Your call's next. 888-589-8840. This is AFA Today on AFR Talk. Stay with us.